Hi everyone, Sage Topaz here. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day and staying safe. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about diversity on Riverdale and how I feel that Riverdale could have done a much better job with diversity. So I made a video before talking about my best characters in Riverdale, my worst characters, and characters that I don't really care about that much on the show. And in that video, I briefly talked about diversity. I was venting about Josie and the Pussycats and how I was pissed off that they changed the race of Josie and the Pussycats and made them into an all black girl band. And I was just kind of like, not happy because I was like, there are a lot of there black characters in Archie comics. So why didn't they just take the black characters from Archie and put them on the show? But, so I said that I was going to be talking about diversity in another video, and here's this video. So in this video, I'm going to be going really in depth about how I feel Riverdale could have done a much better job concerning diversity. So I'm going to be breaking it down on diversity in terms of race, in terms of the LGBTQ community, and also in terms of physical appearance, like actual physical body sizes with the girls on the show. So let's get straight to it. So actually, let's start with body types on Riverdale. So I'm the kind of person, I don't really, because a lot of people kind of complain about television shows and movies and complain how like the actresses, specifically the actresses, because um Hollywood really puts a lot of emphasis on portraying um, girls and women as being super skinny. And of course, people watching, seeing these skinny actresses, it kind of affects them, like teenage girls, young girls, they see these skinny, super skinny celebrities on TV, and it just kind of like affects their self-esteem and their self-image. And the media is trying to do a better job on kind of like portraying different body sizes, different sizes that girls and teenage girls and even, women can look at and be like, oh, this is someone that looks just like me. You know what I mean? Um, in Riverdale, however, um, and I'm not body shaming the actresses. The actresses are so beautiful, and I'm not body shaming them at all. It's not their fault. It's actually the what are they called? Casting directors. The casting directors that are at fault because all they did was cast super skinny actresses in Riverdale. So yeah, I personally don't care about people being super skinny in movies and TV shows. Because for me, I get it. It's Hollywood. Hollywood is kind of like unrealistic. I mean, it's Hollywood. You know what I mean? Of course, they're gonna get like really skinny, good-looking people to be on their TV shows or in their movies, or like even with the men. Of course, they're gonna get like guys who are like super buff and have six packs and everything because it's Hollywood. Hollywood is mostly about image. So I mean, personally, I don't really care. But with Riverdale, I mean, even though I don't really care about actresses being super skinny, I mean, in Riverdale, I mean, I couldn't help but kind of like notice just how skinny they were. I mean, I would watch it and I'll be like, dang, these girls are really skinny. And like I said, I normally don't care, but that's how much there's a lack of body types in Riverdale. Like the actresses on Riverdale are so thin, like really, really super thin. And yeah, yeah, that's really a lack of diversity with body types. Um, the only actress on that show that is actually, I mean, she's skinny, but she's, compared to the other actresses, she's a bit curvier, is Lily Reinhardt, who plays Betty Cooper. And even she said herself, she said that, where's the article? I'm looking at my notes. Yes. So, Lily Reinhardt, she herself also felt self-conscious, um, playing Betty Cooper on Riverdale because she said, according to the Los Angeles Times, that she kind of compared herself to her coworkers, and she was saying her coworkers are way skinnier than her, and she said that she finds herself, her body type average compared to her coworkers. So that's just how skinny the actresses on Riverdale are. It's just pretty obvious just how skinny they are. And also Camila Mendez, she plays Veronica Lodge on Riverdale, and there's also a lot of pressure on her to be skinny. And there's this USA Today article that I found, and in the article, Camila Mendez was talking about how the fittings in Riverdale had a really bad impact on her because it just made her feel very insecure about her body. And this was a quote she had. She said, "I didn't realize I had an eating disorder until I entered the industry. I couldn't even get through a fit in Riverdale." So playing Veronica and playing this really very super skinny character, it just kind of like triggered um you know feelings of insecurity about her body. And, fortunately now she's doing a lot better. She says she's doing better because she has a therapist, she has a nutritionist. But, yeah, she also working in that environment also it just kind of made her feel very self-conscious about the way she looks. And Camila Mendez is very, I think she's like, what, 5'2", she's short and she's really, really, really skinny. And, she's a beautiful girl, and for her to feel like, so self-conscious about the way she looks, yeah, that sucks. I mean, that's really messed up. Also, um, one of the actresses, Ashley Murray, she played Josie in Riverdale, and I noticed that she is super skinny as well. And again, not body shaming her, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that I just kind of wish that they had more actresses with different body types instead of having mostly just very, very skinny actresses. I mean, Cheryl Blossom, I forget how to pronounce her last name. I think it's Madeline Petch. She plays Cheryl Blossom, and she is very, very, very skinny, like super skinny. Vanessa Morgan, very skinny. Um, there's also I forget the actress who plays Ethel, but Ethel Muggs was kind of like she was a plus size character, and she was played by a plus size actress. And it just kind of sucks that the only plus size actress on Riverdale, her character ended up being crazy, and Ethel was kind of portrayed as like this loser who just was like, Ethel was just a very, um, she was just a very crazy, very insecure kind of character. She just had no self-esteem. She was just a very, yeah, Ethel was kind of like a very, she just wasn't a very likable character. And it just kind of, I mean, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it just kind of says something that the only plus size character in Riverdale ended up being a very uncharismatic character. So yeah, I just feel that as far as like body types, they definitely could have done a better job with body type representation in Riverdale. Um, yeah, so so I guess that's with that. Okay, moving on. Before I get to diversity, as far as like LGBTQ representation, I'm straight, but from what I see, they seem to have a pretty good representation of that community in Riverdale. I mean, Kevin and Fangs, Tony Topaz, Cheryl Blossom. They're part of their LGBTQ characters, and Cheryl and Tony. I know people really love them being together. I think they have like a couple name called Choni. So I mean, like again, I'm straight, so I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that community. So from my perspective, I think that they do a good job representing that community, but maybe people from that community, maybe they think that Riverdale can do better. I don't know, but from my perspective, I think they do a pretty good job because they have a lot of LGBTQ characters in Riverdale. So, in my opinion, they definitely got that part right in Riverdale. Okay, now on to diversity. So, I mean race. We're talking about diversity. I'm talking about race specifically. So, yeah, so in that video I talked about in Riverdale my best characters and my worst characters in Riverdale. Yes, so I was talking about how I didn't like how they made Josie and the Pussycats all black. And yes, I'm just one of those people. I really, really, really hated when Hollywood changes the race of characters. Like for instance, the Fantastic Four, right? They made a new Fantastic Four movie, and they decided to make Johnny Storm black, and Johnny Storm was played by Michael B. Jordan. And I was one of those people that was just really pissed off about that because I don't know, to me personally, I find that to be very patronizing and so demeaning, like almost like, okay, like let's just change the race just to make, black people happy. And that just makes me, I just don't like it because again, there are a lot of black characters. Like for instance, superhero movies, right? Instead of changing the race of the superhero, there's so many black superheroes. Has anyone ever heard of Static Shock? Static Shock was a cartoon that was in the shown on the 2000 it was shown on Kids WB in the 2000s, and it's a DC, based on a DC comic book, and it's based on Static Shock, who's an African American superhero. And I wish that they would make a movie about that, or make another TV show. Yeah, there's, I don't know, I just personally, instead of changing the race of a superhero or a race of a character, just get a black character. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I personally find that very insulting. I don't know, I have a huge issue with it. And also that Fantastic Four movie, it bombed. Like, it wasn't good. Yeah, it didn't do well in the box office at all. And I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, if just to change, when a character is so iconic, just to change their race, I don't know, like for me, a race is a big part of a character, and to change the race is just, yeah, it just doesn't feel right, same as like whitewashing as well, you know what I mean? It's just like, but yeah, so Josie and the Pussycats, they made them an all black band, and they just did a terrible, terrible job with Josie and the Pussycats. Like I talked about in that video, how I just did not like Josie's character at all. She was just very unlikable. She was uptight. She was mean. And the other Pussycats as well. I mean, they changed the race of the Pussycats, but again, they didn't even do a good job of portraying them. Melody, um, I don't even remember her saying anything. When she was in Riverdale, honestly, I do not recall Melody ever speaking on the show. Maybe she did, but I mean, she was barely on screen. So, I mean, and every time she was on screen, she was just always quiet. Like, Melody was just there. She was just kind of there to take up space. I felt that she had zero personality. And I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If they wanted to make Josie and the Pussycats, they should have just kept Josie and Melody as both white girls, and then Valerie was, she's black in the comic. They could have just kept her black, and they could have just kept her personality as well. Like, Valerie is a very smart, independent, black girl, and Valerie in Riverdale, again, she was just kind of like in the background. I mean, she had a relationship with Archie, but in general, I just felt that she was just kind of like in the back. She didn't really do anything, and now she's not even on the show anymore. Like, Melody isn't on the show either. Like, the Pussycats have completely disbanded. So I just kind of felt that was just a waste of Josie and the Pussycats. And um, also, they could have brought Nancy, Nancy Woods. She is in Archie Comics as well. She is a black girl, and she's very smart. She's very pretty. She's very accomplished. She's a cheerleader, and she also plays sports as well. And I don't understand why they didn't bring Nancy in Riverdale. Chuck Clayton is Nancy's boyfriend in the comics, and the way they portray Chuck in Riverdale just makes me so angry because it was just such a waste of his character. Like, Chuck Clayton in the comic books is just such a likable kid. Like, Chuck was such a cool guy, like everybody loved Chuck. He was just such a sweet guy. He was very popular. He was a, jock. He was very good at sports, but he was also very sweet. He was a really nice guy. But in Riverdale, they just made Chuck an absolute asshole. Like, he was a horrible, horrible character. He just was terrible to girls. He lied and said that he slept with Veronica when he didn't. He was just an absolute jerk. And he was the only black guy. I mean, there was this other black guy later. What was his name? The boxer that Archie met in prison. Whatever. Aside from him, yes, but the one black guy from Archie Comics play, Chuck Clayton. they completely messed up his character, and I was just really, really pissed off about that. Like, I mean, they could have made Chuck and Nancy, they could have brought them in Riverdale, and Chuck and Nancy, they were a couple in the comic books, so they could have been a couple in Riverdale, and they could have been like this really, cool black couple, but I don't know, for some reason they didn't do that. Also, Ginger Lopez, she's a Latina in the comic books, and apparently she was in season one. I didn't even remember that. But yes, she was apparently Cheryl's sidekick, and I guess she was just kind of like a mean girl. But in the comic books, Ginger Lopez is actually a very successful fashion designer, and she's very cool, very nice, has a lot of friends. Everybody loves Ginger Lopez. So just the way they kind of like just messed up the characters of color in in Riverdale is just kind of messed up, like they, Ginger Lopez, likable character, very successful fashion designer, but in Riverdale they just kind of made her Cheryl's sidekick, and she was just kind of like a bitchy mean girl. And then Chuck, you know, he went from this likable guy in the comics to an absolute asshole in Riverdale. So I just don't like the way that they just kind of like messed up the characters of color in Riverdale. And yeah, what else? Yes, Vanessa Morgan, she plays Tony Topaz, and she also complained about the lack of diversity in Riverdale as well. So she came out and she tweeted that she was tired of, I'm looking at my notes, she was tired of how black people are portrayed in the media. She's tired of us being portrayed as thugs, dangerous, or angry, scary people. And she was saying that her character, Tony Topaz, was basically not just Cheryl's girlfriend, but she was just kind of like Cheryl's sidekick. And she also said that she was paid less than her co-stars. Ooh, that's messed up. So yeah, the creator of Riverdale actually did respond to Vanessa Morgan. They apologized to her and they said that he hears her and he's gonna do better. And in season 5, as you can see, Tony has had a much, much bigger role on the show. She's a much bigger character, on the show. Um, what else? Yes, Reggie. Reggie Mantle is played by Charles Melton, and Charles Melton is of Korean descent. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of feel Reggie. I mean, I guess, I guess he was a bit. I guess he was a bit of a focus. I mean, in the earlier seasons, he was played by another actor, and Reggie, like, he barely had any screen time. But yeah, I guess he could. I guess he could. He has some screen time, but I guess they could have given him some better screen time as well. We'll see. But yes, as far as Rays goes, yeah, Archie, Riverdale definitely. They're doing better, but they could have done a lot better as far as diversity when it comes to race. And is there any other thing I want to talk about? Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess I pretty much covered it. Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, so that is how I feel about diversity in Riverdale. Yeah, they're just like I said, they got certain aspects of diversity right, but I also feel that they could have done a much better job. And the show's still going on, so now they've now they've heard some complaints from fans about the lack of diversity. Even Vanessa Morgan, she also complained about the lack of diversity. So, maybe they can still do better as far as diversity is concerned. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. Apart from that, Riverdale is a great show, very entertaining, very dumb. Storylines are really out there, but it's still a fun show to watch. But yeah. Okay, I guess that's it. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. And yes, again, stay safe and take care of yourselves. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.